Hello, this is the February 2023 real estate market report for Area 107. That's Westville, Trenton, and Pictou, Nova Scotia. My name is Andrew Keddy. I'm a realtor with Royal LePage True Real Estate. And before we go any further, you might be wondering, why should I listen to this guy? Well, just a quick stat. I received the Director's Platinum Award through Royal LePage for 2022. Is actually my second year receiving this designation, and that puts me in the top 5% of Royal LePage realtors nationwide. And I tell you that not to impress you, although I hope it does, but rather to just reinforce the fact that I have a pretty good sense of what's going on across real estate in the area. You might also be wondering, Royal LePage Truro, well, do you guys only handle Truro? The reality is we actually cover most of central and northern Nova Scotia. Between our amazing team, we have quite a reach. And so when you're thinking real estate in our area, don't just think Truro, think all those surrounding communities. We can absolutely help you with those as well. So just to clarify, we're talking about Area 107. That's Westville, Trenton, and Pictou. This area is determined by the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors, and they lump these three communities together with their statistics. So we're going to be looking at two key metrics, which I think are very important for both buyers and sellers to understand. We're going to be looking at the average days on market, and we're going to be looking at the average sales price. Of course, if you're selling your property, you wonder how long it's going to take, how much money are you going to get, and should you, of course, you're thinking things like, should I sell now? Did I miss the market? Should I wait longer? If you have that option. If you're buying, of course, you want to know basically the same thing. How long is it going to take for me to get a property, move in somewhere? Is it going to cost me more now than it would have a while ago? Would it be advantageous to rent longer and maybe wait a little bit longer? And so hopefully by knowing these numbers, it will help you be a more informed buyer or seller. So the first key one here, days on market until sale. You'll actually notice in January of 2022, it was 41 days on market. And January 2023, we're up to 64 days on market. That's an increase of 56.1%. Now, that might seem like a huge jump, but I would point out something that's very, very important. If you look at those numbers above it, the new listings, the pending sales, the closed sales, the data that we are basing these averages on is relatively small. And the problem with small numbers is that you can have a single property that sells for quite a bit more or sells a lot faster, and it can skew the whole average significantly. So you have to be careful when the numbers are a little bit small, like they are in these communities for, especially for this time of the year, which is historically a little bit slower. So there's less transacting. Regardless, we can still get a pretty, these are still important numbers for us to understand and know, because they will affect, again, everything we try to do in real estate. Now, something else that I think is really important while we're talking about this is when we look down at the very bottom of this chart and we get months supply of inventory, we're actually looking at how much inventory, so how many properties are for sale relative to the amount of demand. You can see this time last year, it would have taken us a little over a month. That's 1.2 months of inventory for everything to sell. So a little over a month for everything to sell in the early part of 2022. Compare that with the early part of this year, January, and we were at 2.7. So it's over 2 times higher, which means we have twice as much property hitting the market compared with the number of buyers. And so typically when we see this, we would expect, time on market to increase and potentially it to put a little bit of downward pressure on pricing. So how does this all fit in with the overall trend? Well, when we look at average days on market, historically, time on market is higher now than it has been over most of the past year, but it's still low when compared with the average time on market over the past number of years. So when we have a small number of data, it is extremely important that we look at the overall trend for the area to get a sense of where things are at. One single month does not tell us the whole picture. So you can see overall time on market, when you look back to 2018, 2019, you look at some of those lower parts of that that dip where, last month was actually a little bit higher than some of those dips. But when we take the average, kind of the middle of those ups and downs around 2018, 2019, and we compare it with where we are now, we're still lower than the historical average for the area. It's just higher than it has been. Now, how does that affect prices? Well, when we look at average sales price, interestingly enough, last year, January, we were at $163,375 for an average sale price, up to $186,100, up 13.9% from January 2023 versus January 2022. So again, we have a lot more inventory than we relative to buyers than we did this time last year. And yet, interestingly enough, the prices on average are a little bit higher. So why might that be? Well, you can ask a lot of different people. You might get a lot of different answers. My general thought is that people are used to paying these higher prices now, and so that will likely continue for a little while. I think once someone pays a higher price for a property, they're not too keen on turning around and selling it for a lesser price, just because the market may have dipped a little bit. And again, how does this fit into the overall trend? Well, you can see over the past year, we had a huge spike early in 2022, but the overall trend's a little bit unclear. We're still much higher than the historical average across the area. I mean, when you look back 2018, 2019, you're talking an average sale price around 100,000-ish, give or take, depending on which month you're at. And it was relatively flat for a number of years. And then it didn't increase around 2020. And it's been up and down a little bit, but still well above the historical average. So if you're thinking about selling, you didn't miss the market. It's still a fantastic time to sell. If you're buying, you're still going to be paying a higher price compared with the historical average. But the nice thing is that with the days on market increasing, the biggest thing is that even though you might be paying a higher price than you would have, say, a few years ago, as a buyer, you now have some breathing room. You can look at a property and you don't have to put an offer in, the same day to get the property. So, I mean, you might in some cases still, but the market is a little more relaxed. So it's still a great time to sell, but it's becoming a more comfortable time to buy as well. Now, this presentation is not meant to be a complete A to Z explanation. It's meant to be a quick overview of where things are at and give you a better sense of where things are in your specific community where you're thinking about buying or selling. And if you have questions, reach out to our amazing team. And whether you talk to myself or someone else in our office, we would be absolutely thrilled to help you out. Give us a call, 902-895-6361, or visit trohomes.ca, and we can connect you with a fantastic realtor who's going to help you out in your area. Now, if you want to connect with me, my name is Andrew Keddy. So you can check me out, andrewkeddy.com, where you can find all kinds of useful resources about the real estate industry. So once again, my name is Andrew Keddy. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today, and I wish you much success in real estate.